Okay, we're going to talk about section views, which I don't know why it seems kind of complicated when this first comes up. It looks something like this with a cutting plane and a section view, and that sounds all very, very technical. But the truth is you already have seen section views everywhere in real life in all sorts of places, and you're totally used to this. So let me just give you some examples first before we talk about engineering. A section view is literally where we've cut something in half. For example, here, they cut this thing in half so that you can see the insides of it. We see this all the time. For example, in classes like biology, which you've all had, here's a cross-section of what an eyeball is, where they've labeled the different parts. I'm sure you've done something like this in biology. We have another one here of the car. We see this sort of thing all the time. Literally here they cut one in half so you could actually see it. And that's what we're talking about with section views. And as I said, we see this all the time in all sorts of drawings. Here's a bunch of them where they cut a castle in half, a ship in half, buildings. Here's a USS Enterprise that they cut in half. We're totally used to seeing these cross sections where they cut it in half so that we can see what's going on inside. That is all that a section view is. A section view is just where we've gone in and cut a part in half so that we can see what's going on inside. So for example, this was the windshield off of our car that we did. And all they're doing is they're saying if we came in and cut right here, that's what a cutting plane line is. If we came in and chopped this in half right here along that line, this is what it would look like. This part would be sticking down. That was the part that fit down into the Automobilox car. And this was the dome part on top. That's what it means. A couple of the extra parts that you'll see here is the cutting line shows where we're actually cutting it. Notice that it's a long, short, long for a cutting plane line. And we put the little A's here that goes with this little A's here when we label it. Now, where we cut through, here, we do little hash marks to show the part where we actually cut through the material. So right here, there's little dashed hash marks here that show where we actually cut through. This part doesn't have any because this is actually the air gap that was in here, and we didn't actually cut the material in that part. So for example, if we took a part and cut it in half here, that's a full section view because I cut the entire thing in half. And we're going to be making a couple of these kinds for our train. A full section view cuts the part all the way in half. We can also do part of it. I don't have to cut the entire thing out. Notice here I didn't cut this completely in half. I cut out half of it. And it's a little tricky because I call this a half section view. If you think about it, if I cut a full view, I would cut it all the way through, but I only did half of that much. So half of that much means I'm just cutting out this part right here. So this part is actually the full outside of it, and then this shows the inside of it. Why did we do it on this one? Well, we did it so that we could see this little whole part here and how that lines up in this part. We can also do offset sections. For example, here, these holes don't line up with that hole there. So instead of just trying to cut it through one place, which would miss parts of it, they actually make the cutting line kind of crooked like this. We're not going to use this one on the train, but I just do want you to be aware of it, that sometimes this cutting line is all crooked like this, so that in one view I could show all three of these types of holes going on. So that's our just-in-time about section views, and I'm going to be showing you on the next video how to actually make a section view in Inventor.